Welcome to the podcast, Allie. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm just so happy to meet you, hear all your wisdom. There's so many things I want to ask you, so I'm just gonna dive in.
Yes, I'm ready. Ready.
What would you call yourself? I know you say you're an intuitive and a medium. I think you also are NLP certified, right?
Yep, I do NLP and
Mhm.
also neurolinguistic programming, which is NLP, and then also a lot of neuroscience tools.
Okay, cool. Like hypnosis or just what kind of tools?
Well, not hypnosis. It's tools around actually reprogramming the neural pathways in the brain and the subconscious mind.
Okay, cool. So I know you use to help your clients, you use your intuitive gifts and neuroscience to help. So that's like what makes you different and so powerful and awesome. How did you figure out that you were able to do this?
When I was 5, I remember waking up one morning and I said to my mom, I go, "Grandma has cancer." My mom was like, "The fuck? No, she doesn't." And I was like, "Yeah, she does, but I'm 5. I don't know what the fuck cancer is." So a few weeks go by, and then my grandma actually found out that she did have cancer at the time. And I thought nothing of it because I'm 5. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying or what's going on. And also, that was such a normal experience to me that I thought just everyone was knowing these things. And then I remember like going to sleep at night a lot in my childhood and just it would sound like I was in a crowded restaurant and I wouldn't know what it was or what I was hearing, and like my mom couldn't hear what I was hearing, and it was just super odd. It actually like scared me a little bit when I was younger because I didn't know what I was hearing when I was going to bed at night. Then the second time I can remember a really significant thing happening is when I was 12. I was at my grandfather's funeral, and I spoke to him at his own funeral, and like he told me a story about my dad when my dad was young that like I had no idea about. I told my dad, and my dad was like, "How do you know that?" And I was like, "Oh, no, told me." And no, is Italian for grandpa. I was like, "Oh, no, told me." And that's the second time I can remember. And then in high school and middle school, the floodgates opened, but I was so embarrassed. Like I thought I was the weirdest thing ever. I was like, I have to be cool. I have to fit in. Like, no one's gonna think this is cool. Like, you're gonna think I'm fucking weird. So I just didn't tell a single soul and I shut it out as much as I possibly could. Then, like, the more intuitive stuff started happening where, like, I would just know how someone felt and then they would say how they felt. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, that makes sense. Or I would know what advice to give people, even if I've never been through that experience. And like it would help them. So I just started noticing these things. Anyway, long story short, I trained in dance for a really long time, my whole entire life, and got really serious about it in high school. Left to high school, went pro, moved to New York City, then moved to LA when I was 19 for dance. One day, I'm broke there. I have no car. So I'm living in North Hollywood. I need my hair done. So I just walked downstairs. There was a hair salon underneath the apartment I lived in because that's like, but I was going to walk somewhere because I couldn't drive anywhere. I went to the front desk guy and I said, "Hey, can you put me with someone who does blondes really well?" And he was like, "Yeah, I know the perfect person to put you with." And he like smiled. And I was like, "Okay." And so I'm like, "Okay." And he puts me with this girl. Her name is Katelin. And
Woo!
I know, I know. Caitlin's the good. We have a theme here today of the Caitlin.
Yes, I love it.
He puts me with her, and I just start word vomiting to this girl, like, and I'm like about all of these experiences I've ever had, and I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I have no idea why I'm telling you this. I've never told anyone this. Like, I don't know what the fuck is going on." And she just like smiles and nods, and she's like, "I know why you told me." And she was like, "I want you to meet my intuitive energetic healer." And I was like, "Don't know what the fuck that is, but sure, yeah, why not?" And so my to this day, his name's Alessandro. He's a huge teacher of mine, like lifetime teacher to this day. But she brings me to like he used to hold in LA in North Hollywood these like classes every Sunday night in like a workout studio, but he would rent it out at night and hold like his just classes there. I walk in, Caitlin's like, "Al," we call him Al. "Al, this is Allie. She's really special." That's what Katelin said. And he looks at me, he goes, "I can tell." I was like, "I have no idea what you guys are fucking talking about. Like, whatever." And by the way, I'm not special. Everyone has intuition. But that's just like the conversation that was had. And I go in, and this guy just starts teaching about like how to get your energy right to align and create the things you want in life and how to heal yourself and how souls choose our trauma. And I've experienced a lot of trauma. And I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on in here, but I gotta keep going. I gotta keep coming back here.
Yeah.
So every Sunday night, I just go to this class. I'm going to this class at first because I, at this point, am pro dancing. I want to learn how to book all the dance jobs. I want to learn what to do to heal myself and heal my self image because my self image was trash, hated like the way I looked, things about myself, all the things. So I'm going to just feel more confident, learn how to be a famous dancer. Like that's why I start going to this, right? Then about like 5 months into going to this, I'm like over dance. I'm like literally bored in my dance classes, which is so random and weird because I was so fucking passionate, hyper fixated on it for my whole entire life. I'm on these dance jobs that were like my dream dance jobs, like dancing backup for pop artists, like doing TV, film, commercial, that kind of thing. And I'm fucking bored out of my mind. I hate it. I'm miserable. And then I remember saying to Al, I was like, Al, like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm hating dance and I'm so bored. He goes, yeah, that makes sense. Tells me nothing else though. He goes, that checks out because he could just see my soul contract, but he's not going to sit here and tell me I'd be doing this today because I'd be like, yeah, fuck no, like absolutely not. So when I'm 19 and I want to be a famous dancer, you could have paid me enough to think I'd be sitting here doing this today. So I just, as it progresses and I start learning, a lot of people who just find him or are drawn to him are just people who are naturally intuitive, which we all are, but want to learn how to use it better and want to learn how to heal and that kind of thing. So he ends up teaching he just teaches this thing every Sunday night and it's random what he's talking about every time, but I just keep going. Eventually he gets into just like this intuition phase of he's just teaching this. So I start to take the natural born gifts that we all have. I'm not special. We all have intuition. And I start to learn how to use it down to a science. So it's not just like, oh, maybe we'll see what comes through, or I'm reading something, but I don't know where it's coming from, or I don't know what part of you I'm reading, or what timeline, or what thing I'm reading. I mean, I learned how to take this natural born thing we all have and then turn it into something that is a tool, a technique, a science, something anyone can learn, down to like the percentage of what your lungs functioning at, down to exactly why something's going on in your life that you don't like, what's radiating from your energy field that's creating it, how to shift, what your soul path, like the whole anything and fucking everything, and where I'm getting the information from and how to get it and what questions to ask because intuition's only as good as the questions you ask, and how to translate our higher self because it's speaking a different language and translating it. So I know I just give you a very long answer, but
No, I'm
that's
obsessed with the whole thing.
that's I think just really important to note because everyone has intuition, yes, but everyone can also dribble a basketball. Then there's NBA basketball players, and they're the ones who got the coach, who trained day in and day out, who put in the hours of mastery, who have the right tools and techniques where like anytime they know how to get the ball in the net. So for me, I've trained my intuition and I'm still am training it every day over the past 9 years of down to that like source science and measuring things intuitively and the whole fucking shebang. So it's really cool because we can now use it to people come and we heal their ailments. We come and we get them what their soul's desiring and unblock them because I've trained myself to know what I'm reading now, which anyone can do with the right tools.
That's amazing, and I know that you've helped your clients actually heal their chronic illnesses, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. We the most recent, well, there's a lot, but one of my favorite stories right now, just because we're really seeing the shifts in her life right now. Everyone's my favorite story, but like just that's prominent in my head right now is a student of mine, Kayla, who she came to me about like 2 years ago, riddled in chronic, like 10 different multiple chronic illnesses, Lyme disease, and a toxic relationship, like living in this apartment in Georgia she didn't want to live in, and this whole thing. And I look in, and she's been trying to heal this stuff for years, like antibiotics, XYZ, the other thing. She, right before she found me, found a doctor who helped her start to heal the Lyme, but she was still like 68% had it, was experiencing insane symptoms, still had so many other chronic illnesses. So we go in and I look at what's the emotional root cause of why this is happening because anything in the physical, like even this water bottle, has to start out as a thought. Someone had to think of this water bottle, someone had to design it, someone had to send it to a manufacturer, and now it's manifested into a physical thing. That's the same thing in our body. So anything that goes on in our body started out as a thought. a thought and it manifests it into the body. It starts out as an emotional root cause. So I look at the emotional root cause of the physically manifested body ailments that are going on. And how I do it is I actually read the cells off their body. I read the energy off their body and why it manifested. We then heal the emotion that caused it. And then I then give her tools. How we heal it is then through the neuroscience tools, actually reprogram the subconscious, actually reprogramming the neural pathways in the brain. I take the neuroscience tools that I've channeled and I've also learned from my teacher and just like neuroscience, and then I intuitively test the percentage of how effective it's going to be for that person. So some won't be as effective, some will be more effective. I give them the ones that are going to actually be the most effective for that specific person sitting in front of me. So then I gave her the tools. This girl within a year, completely free and clear and healed. Not like in remission, not dealing with it, not like, keeping it on like down and not active, like literally free and clear.
That's
Leaves a
amazing.
toxic relationship. Thank you. Yeah, leaves a toxic relationship, like moves to Dallas in her one of her dream apartments. Now she just moved into like her dream apartment, which is really cool. Like so recently the other week. Leaves the job she was working for, learns, just kind of did the same thing that I did with Al, like was like, Allie, I want to learn everything you're fucking doing. I then train her, kind of become a mentor to her, teach her how to do this with her intuition. And now she has her own brand and business doing it and was able to leave her job and is totally supporting herself in it within like 2 fucking years, which is wild.
So incredible. You're amazing.
So
First off.
much. Thank you.
Yeah. Is this something that anyone can learn how to do, even if you're not someone that 5 years old was having, visions or hearing things?
Absolutely. Everyone has a divine right to have intuition. We are source. We're just an extension of source, which means, how we have qualities like our parents, like we look like our parents or we have certain qualities from our parents. Why wouldn't we have qualities from the parent energy that like literally created our soul in the
Right.
first place?
Yeah,
So like 100%, we all have intuition and it's our divine right to be able to tap into it. We just need the right tools on how to do it. And a lot of people actually never, who are insanely intuitive and have a high level of intuitive gift, never even have realized that growing up. And you've probably, not you, but anyone has probably had it, you also, but not, I'm just saying, like, in case
yeah,
you didn't notice it, but anyone who has probably had those experiences but just haven't realized. If someone says something but 2 seconds before they say it, you've thought of that. Or if you're just like, you can go into a room and feel the energy, or you can go up to someone and know what they're gonna be like, that's intuition. And so we're gonna train like, oh, if I didn't talk to my grandma who crossed over when I was 5, then I don't have it. No, no, no. If you can just walk into a room and kind of feel out the energy, like the vibe in there, it's there, you have it. And all you need is the right tools. It's kind of like I use basketball. I don't even like or watch basketball, but I like somehow I've decided to use these analogies. But it's like how Michael Jordan, I think, didn't make his high school basketball team, and now he's like the fucking one of the best in the world. Sometimes those gifts they're just not unlocked even till we're a little bit older.
totally. When I was younger, I remember I would see a conversation or something happening before it would happen. Like I'd be playing with my toys and think of my mom coming into the playroom and saying something to me. And it would be like, you have to stop playing now. Playtime is over. And I would be like, wait, can I have this much more time or whatever? And convince her to let me play more. And then she would say yes. And then it would happen 5 minutes later. And I thought it was completely normal. And then at some point, I stopped doing this, but I remember envisioning things the way I wanted them to happen before they happened. And it's weird because every psychic I've ever spoken to has told me you're extremely psychic, but I'm scared of scared of it. And the reason why, so I was like, okay, maybe I should try to tap into this. So about a year ago, I did this kind of prayer, praying to God, saying, help me tap into this more, help me strengthen it more. I'm open to it. And then about a week later, I'm in bed sleeping and 4 a.m. I wake up to this knocking at the door, like knock, 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 knock on the bedroom door. And I wake up like, what's going on? And I have 2 cats and they're both looking at the door. So one was on one side of my bedroom door and one was on the other. And they're both, I had turned the light on, obviously. They're both looking at the door and their tails are up, like they're looking at a spirit or something on either side of the door. And they both are doing that weird cat thing where they're like, kind of going forward, going back, going forward. And I'm totally freaked out. The knocking had stopped when I turned the light on. But I was like, no, 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 no.
We're not doing it. We're
Uh,
not doing
yeah,
it.
I'm not doing this. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Yeah.
I didn't mean it.
I didn't mean it. I made a mistake and I literally prayed to God and I was like, I'm really scared. I didn't like being woken up. I love my sleep. I did not like being woken up. I'm scared. It's the middle of the night. I'm freaked out. And so I just basically was like, sorry, I thought I could handle it. I can't.
You're like, just kidding, you guys. I didn't mean to.
Is there a way to be able to tap into it in a way that it makes you comfortable where you can do the things that you're talking about, use it to manifest, use it to unblock yourself from things, but not be seeing spirits or any medium type stuff?
100%. What happens is when we have these gifts, we all do. It's like getting a really nice Lamborghini for the first time, but like never driving Lamborghini, not knowing how to use it. So it's like all over the place. You have this really cool thing, but it's like it's all over the place. You're like, I don't know how the fuck to like what's this button do? What's this do? Like, how does this work? And intuition and opening those gifts, the third eye and the pineal gland even more, it's insanely overwhelming without the right tools. When you learn the right tools, you learn how to protect your energy, to shield yourself, to shield your home so no one like uninvited is coming in at night. You learn how to pull your aura in and make yourself invisible to anyone you don't want to be visible to, like dark forces or just spirits who you're like, I'm offline, don't come, we're not talking tonight. You can learn how to do energy recoveries, which is so important, which is take other people's energy out of you, get your energy back from them, clear your energy, cut the cord. Because a lot of natural intuitives and psychics who aren't trained, they're getting so sick because they're reading all these people and then they're taking on their energies and then they're like up at night hearing everyone else's shit. And there's so many tools and energy work tricks for that you can live a normal life along with having this insanely cool thing going on for you. I used to not be able to like go to a restaurant without having a panic attack, or like I couldn't fucking forget about going to a concert. Oh my God, that was like a nightmare. It was no fun. I couldn't really like have fun that much. It was like overwhelming for me to like be places. Then I learned the energy work to do, the guided light energy work, and the practices to do to actually protect myself. And the more you know what you're reading, where your intuition's going, what's going on, the more you can control it. So like if a spirit's knocking at your door, I literally have the tools to take their soul, send it through a portal, send it where it wants somewhere else where it wants to go. Then be
Yeah,
like,
because
hi.
I feel like it was my grandparents or a loved one. I didn't feel like it was any dark situation. I don't feel like I'm open to any dark situations, so I wasn't worried about that. It
Yeah.
just even if it's someone I love so much, like I love my grandparents so much, I can't handle like seeing you or like
Yeah, you're like, I don't
talking
want to
to
see
you.
you.
Yeah, like love you so much, but I just can't handle it and I won't feel safe and comfortable to sleep if I feel like there's a possibility that I'm going to be seeing spirits even if I love them so much,
100%.
you know?
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally get it. The more it's interesting. I used to see stuff like unsolicitedly too, randomly. The more you train, the more you can control when you see things and when you don't. Like I'm not walking around Malibu like seeing stuff, but if I like look at your field, I could see stuff. So like you can control when you're seeing things versus when you're not.
Yeah, I need to learn from you.
God, come,
I
come
know.
join.
I feel like I need to get in there. And one thing that you talked about is the social anxiety, which when I was in high school, I started having these crazy panic attacks and it was something I dealt with and I figured out the tools and I do things that help me. And I'm sure they're similar to tools that you do, but I think you're just on a very advanced level. But still sometimes I'll walk into a bar or something and just I'm not anxious at all. Like I don't deal with anxiety at all in my life anymore until I'm in a situation like that where there's a bunch of people and it's not every time, it's just sometimes. And I'll be like, oh, and I realize, it's not mine. And I think a lot of people think this anxiety is mine because it's happening in your body. It's like, of course, this is mine. But I think a lot of people that have social anxiety don't realize that's someone else's energy that you're taking on. And so I picture like a light through my body and I push it out like a bubble around me and that works. And I just breathe. I do like some little breathing exercises and I'm fine. But I think that's important for people to know that might be listening. Oh, maybe that's not mine.
Yeah, no, literally. And you're so channeling that energy work of the bubble, by the way. Like I do
Okay.
something very similar. Very
Okay.
like pretty much that.
Yeah, like,
Like
that was
that
something that I had to learn just from because in high
yeah.
school, first off, anxiety, I think, is talking about so much more now, which is great, but when I was in high school, I'm 30 now, I felt like a freak. No one talked about it, no celebrities, no one in the media, no one in my life, no one knew. My parents were, God bless them, they were doing the best they could to help me, but they were like, "Something's wrong with her," you know? Not I don't think they thought that, but that's how it came across because 'cause they're like, "I have no idea. I've never had this. I don't know what to do and how to help you." And I was like, "Get me to the doctor. Like, I can't go back to school."
Dying.
Yeah, I felt like I was dying, you know, because I didn't know what it was. And so I had to help because the doctors kept trying to put me on all these medications and I literally would fall asleep. I was like a zombie. I'd fall asleep the second I got home from school until my parents would wake me up from dinner just to eat. And then I'd go back to sleep like I was out, you know, and I didn't want to live life that way. So I had to figure out my tools and that's how I've, built my business and everything today because of the tools that worked for me from a teenager through college through all the things when I would get that anxiety. And so, and I'm sure that's how you learned. I know you had a mentor too, but you obviously learned your tools. And yeah, it's so helpful to know that there are things that you can do when you're having that anxiety. A lot of times it's not yours. And there are things that you can do to just get yourself out of that. Your body is reacting to something in a way that it thinks it's trying to protect you from something, but you're
Yeah.
really safe. And if you can speak to your body in a way that it understands, then you can be safe and you can let go and not have to live like that, like you're in fear all the time of having another anxiety attack.
Yes. Oh my god, I know exactly what you mean with the fear of having another anxiety attack, like, 100%. That is something I experience so much. Have you ever just gotten anxiety about getting anxiety?
Oh, yeah. I think most people, when they have their first anxiety attack, that's how it, blows out of control because they're like, I
Yes.
can never live normal again. And I'm going to have one every second. And for a time, I was having like 7, 8, 9 a day, like at the
Yeah.
first, after I had my first one. So yeah, and that was just worried it was going to happen again.
Yes. Okay, this is wild. I know exactly what you mean, and then you get, like, dizzy kind of, and, like, your head feels like it's not on your body, and
Totally.
you're, like,
Totally.
vibrating. It's a very odd feeling, and I think
Totally.
what's important too to remember is, like, for everyone listening, you know this, but for everyone listening is the anxiety is here to help you. It's just here to show us something, and it's not like who we are. It's not like who we are. It's not like what's written in our soul contract of like I'm Allie, and one of my qualities is anxiety. It's just something I'm experiencing because it's actually like trying to. It's always here to help us get what we're asking for, and that's where intuition can come in. Of like, what's this anxiety showing me? You can actually intuitively channel like, what can I shift here that this anxiety is
Totally.
showing me?
I always say fear is a notification, and I
Yes.
think, anxiety is a form of fear, but yeah, it's like, what is this showing me? What is my body reacting to? Is it can I make myself feel safe or I'm not safe? Or is it something that is alerting me, "Hey, pay attention to this."
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally. Yes.
Yeah. So cool, I love it so much. I wanna ask you, since you obviously talk to souls every day and through your clients too, what do souls say about why we are here? Like, what is our purpose of being here on Earth?
I love that question. Our purpose of being here on Earth is so one, Earth is the pop in place for souls. Like souls are fighting to like the death, not that they can die, but they're fighting every day up there to get in a human body on Earth. So number one, like the fact that you're here is you have a better chance of winning the lottery, like way better chance of winning the lottery.
I think it's 1 in 400 trillion chance.
Oh my god, yeah, that sounds fucking right because
Yeah,
there's so many up there, and there's like not a lot of bodies here for all of those to come into,
right.
obviously. So that's one of them is like, and two, why souls choose to come to Earth is because Earth School is like the hardest place to be. That's where you're gonna get the most soul growth. If a soul desires to grow, it's coming to Earth. Our souls come here to experience the human experience and to create. Eventually, the goal is Source's goal is to create, like the term heaven on earth, like a high frequency Earth. like a new earth type of situation, what you may hear like people call it on TikTok. So there's no like necessarily massive end goal that Source has. Source just the one desires Earth to eventually be a 500 frequency vibrating place or higher. The highest frequency a soul can vibrate at in a human body is 1,000, and about 86% of the souls currently on Earth vibrate between like a 180 to like a 300 frequency. Then there's healer souls like yourself who vibrate between like a 400 and like 650 frequency range. And then there's ascended master souls that vibrate between like a 700 to 1,000 frequency range. Like Jesus was an ascended master soul, like 1,000 frequency soul. And by the way, Jesus would hate if he like everyone was praising him. Jesus was like, everyone can heal people, you know. So that is kind of like the soul frequency situation. So if the collective chose to think the thoughts, take the action, be the things that would create the collective of Earth vibrating in a 500 frequency or higher, literally dark forces, dark entities like darkness could actually not exist on Earth. Like darkness in the media, darkness in Hollywood, darkness, like it literally actually wouldn't be able to exist. And that's essentially the goal. And so souls, the point of souls coming to Earth, even before that happens, is Earth's where you're going to get the massive most amount of soul growth. The more soul growth you get, the higher your soul frequency is when you come back again. So if we're all just going, we're all coming back, then we're crossing over, we're coming back, then we're crossing over, we're coming back, then we're crossing over. Eventually, there's going to be enough souls here that we're all just vibrating as a collective over 500 frequency. And that's kind of like the goal, essentially, that Source has. If Source would have a goal, because Source is very neutral, but if Source would have a goal, that would be the goal.
Wow, that's fascinating. So we're really trying to up the frequency on Earth is what everyone is trying to do, whether they know it or not.
100%. Yeah. And I know we've all lived, even if you are a healer soul, like no soul's better or worse. It's just if you're vibrating at like a 600 frequency, you've just lived more lives, you've gone through more trauma, and you've probably chosen trauma in this life too, like a hard experience, all to go through it, learn how to heal it, and then in some way, shape, or form, whether it's just with your children or whether it's with masses of people, helping other people do the same. And in that over and over again, eventually all souls are now raising in frequency. And right now the souls coming back on Earth, they're all over like 500 frequency. Like these babies coming in, they know what the fuck's up. And so I haven't even seen in the past 6 years a soul come in who was under like a 400 frequency.
Wow.
So all these souls are coming in now, these older souls, and if you can't tell by like what's going on in the world, these systems are starting to crumble. They're starting to be, they want to take down TikTok because TikTok's actually like a great source of information a lot of times for certain things. So they're fighting like the lower frequency things and the people who have intentionally, that's another topic, but the people who have intentionally disconnected from source and intentionally are dark, like using dark entities and stuff to get ahead, they can feel it. And so they're kind of throwing stuff at a wall, seeing what sticks at this point to see how much longer they can stay in power. But it's not, they'll never win.
Yeah. Wow. That is so cool. So we're doing a good job. So because you're saying that the babies coming are better, like it, they're no one's good or bad or whatever, but they're more the higher the frequency. So we're doing a good job, is what you're saying.
Yes, the soul coming, I mean, it's kind of like, here's the thing. If healer souls and the souls that are coming in now, if they were like, oh yeah, I'm not going back to Earth, honestly, the Earth wouldn't be doing too hot right now. It would probably end. And they're like, let's go save Earth, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's doesn't necessarily mean like Earth was doing well, but they're like, we're gonna go make Earth do well. Like we're gonna go help Earth out.
Right. Why would souls want to come to Earth? Is it just because they're good? Because if they're in heaven, paradise up in heaven, why would they want to come here?
So that's a really good question. Souls want to come to Earth because Earth is the only place you can go through the human experience of emotions. of even tasting things, of having the human experience of like dressing up or expressing yourself through the physical. And also souls come here because you get the most soul growth. If you want to go up in soul points, you're coming here. What's really cool about that is that you know how there's people who are like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of the matrix. I gotta go and live in the jungles and of fucking I don't know where, just like a
Costa
jungle,
Rica.
Costa Rica, the jungles of fucking Costa Rica. I need to go in the mountains of Montana and never come out.
Yeah.
If you're doing that, you're defeating the whole purpose of why your soul's back. Now, if you're doing that because like you have an actual intuitive thing of like I need to be here, great. If you're doing that to run away from something, run away from your emotions, find peace. I'm quoting find peace, or find like everyone annoys me. I've got to run away. You're still so trapped in the matrix. It's mind blowing. What the soul desires to do is to mesh the energetic and the physical. We're energetic beings in a physical body on earth. Our souls would not be on earth if they did not want to experience the human emotions of earth, if they did not want to experience the traumas that they chose into their family that they chose to be born in, if they did not want to experience the insane lessons you get when you don't feel good about yourself, or when you're healing a body ailment, or when you're going through a breakup, or whatever it is. Yes, it's painful for the human sometimes. Our soul is fucking thriving, Caitlin. I can't even tell you. Like, at this point, if I'm sad about something, I'll be crying in my human alley, and then I'll also be half in my soul, and I'm like, this is great. like I'll be simultaneously crying and be like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me at the same fucking time. Because that's like the goal of the soul to be here. It's to be mentally out of the matrix and like learn how to hack life and create in the way that source can and does, while also getting to experience and massively grow from the human stuff that goes on. If your soul wanted peace, it would have stayed in spirit land. So whenever someone's like, I just want peace, I need to run away and go and lock myself away, they're missing out on all the soul lessons. And you know what? We can't outrun soul lessons. So either they're going to stay there and then come back in the next life and then just create the same problem but 10 times harder, or they'll stay there. And now, actually, in my Unfuck Yourself Academy Q&A live one time, this girl, I love her. She always had the best questions. She came to me, she goes, Allie, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. She goes, people annoy me, so I locked myself in my apartment and I haven't talked to anyone in a week, but now there's bugs everywhere in my apartment. I'm so annoyed by the bugs. And I was like, thank you for saying this. This is my perfect example of you cannot outrun your creator field and your emotions you're trying to outrun, because she's annoyed by people. So she runs away from people, doesn't deal with the annoyance, and she locks herself in her apartment. And then there's bugs, like literally gnats, like flying everywhere that like also annoyed her. And I'm like, it's because you're an energetic match to be annoyed because you feel annoyed. What we feel, we create more of. And it's the law of focus. What we focus on, we create more of. And so she like tried to escape it, but you can't. You can't escape it. And trust me, your soul doesn't want to like that. And that's the growth. It's like, oh, people annoy me. Where's the growth here? Let's grow and move past this. That's the soul growth our soul came here for. So there's no escaping it. And our soul would not have come to earth if it wanted eternal peace, or if it wanted to just be happy 24/7. It can do that in spirit land.
I'm obsessed. I'm going to listen to this 100 times. I read this quote the other day. It was just a cute thing that was being, put around Instagram. And it was something about, I like to pretend that I died and went to God and begged him to come back to be able to have my heart broken and to run around a beach and to do all this again, just to feel it. So that's kind of what you're saying, is that our soul loves to feel the highs, the lows, the emotions, just to be able to feel it with our senses and experience the human experience.
It does. It fucking loves it. And there's nowhere else it can get this kind of growth. And also just tasting things, or like feeling things on your body, or like wearing things, or like having sex, or like all these things. It's you don't experience that anywhere else like you do on earth.
Yeah, I love it. So if you're listening to this and having a shit day, enjoy
And
it.
like your soul, yeah, your soul is thriving, and see if you can start to like almost like see like a split screen of yourself. Like experience emotions, feel them, and then also how is this helping you? Like it's always helping us get what we're asking for. It always is. Always.
That's so cool. I'm gonna start thinking like that. That's really cool. I wanted to ask, you know how you're saying that we come back over and over again? Do we come back with our family and our friends in different bodies, I guess? But are we with the same souls?
Really good question. We do have soul family. A soul family doesn't have to mean blood family, but we will reincarnate with our soul family in every single life. So if you feel like when you meet someone, like, oh, I feel like I've seen them before, I feel like I know them, probably soul family or like soul cousins, you know? If you are feeling like you're in a relationship where there's a lot of reflections, which means it's a lot of emotions get pulled up, wounds get pulled up in that relationship, probably some kind of soul family contract or some kind of soul contract or something. Yeah, I have some of my soul family. One of them is my friend Nikki, and one of them is my friend Georgia. We have lived so many lives together, and we remember our lives together. Not all of them. We remember this one significant life together, and like we joke about it constantly. In that life, not in this life. In this life, this has never happened. In that life, Nikki and Georgia were or their names now, but in that life, I won't say their names in that life, but they were married, and Nikki cheated on Georgia with me. So what's before this is wild. Before we realized this, when Nikki and Georgia first met, they just did not vibe. Like they literally like it wasn't that they didn't vibe, it was that they instantly felt like betrayed by one another for like no reason, but it was from that past
Yeah.
life. And then what's wild is Georgia, they're not dating in this life, but Georgia, when she was dating somebody like a few years ago, she would not let me around him. Like she's like would get pissed if I was around him, got mad that I hugged him one time and I was like saying hi, but to both of them, it wasn't like a weird hug. It was like a friendly, like, hey guys,
Right.
got so mad. And then this was before we realized this. And because in this life, that would make no sense because one, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not taking anyone's boyfriend in this life.
I don't
Or
want your man.
yeah, not doing that here. But two, once we discovered what happened with all three of us in that past life, I was like, this makes so much fucking sense. Like, of course, Georgia doesn't trust me around her boyfriend because in the last life, her husband cheated on her with me.
How dare you?
I know, I'm so rude for that. Like, what the fuck?
That leads me to ask about soulmates. Is that a thing?
Yep, we have soulmates and we also have soul complements. So soulmates we probably have two or three of or four.
How
So
do we choose just one if there's multiple?
good question. So it's good. This is a little trippy. So it's dependent upon the timeline you're on and they're on. So you could be on your soul's highest timeline, and soulmate one could be fucking around a little bit. So like he's out. Soulmate two might be fucking around a little bit, so he's out. Soulmate three might not be fucking around and might be on his soul's timeline, and now you'll match up. Or you're not fucking around, but just for an example, let's say soulmate one is fucking around and you're fucking around, you guys might be a match for each other.
Look around and find out.
You're gonna fuck around and you're gonna find out 100%.
Is there ever a time that multiple timelines are ready? You're like, oh, I am not fucking around in either of these other two, and then you have to choose?
It's not that you'd have to choose because you wouldn't know both of them at the same time. So you would meet one and then you would want to be with one and then you would just never meet the other one and then they would get with one of their other potential soulmates. If now that's not guaranteed, you have to have your emotional body has to be a match for that, But yeah, that's essentially what would happen.
With soulmates, so you know how some people don't want one person, they don't want a husband or a wife. So is that just if you truly have the desire to have, it doesn't even have to be married, but have your one person, then that's where it matches up where you were saying your emotional body. But if you don't have that desire in this lifetime, then that's just you don't have that, and you're kind of like meeting one on one timeline, and then maybe you meet the other one later or something.
Well, so what I mean by the emotional body having to match up is what it's the scientific term is our electromagnetic field, and I call it our creator field. Our creator field is essentially the field that radiates around us, and whatever we believe to be true, whatever our thoughts are on a daily basis, is what gets programmed into this creator field. So if I have a creator field based off a belief of I'm never gonna find someone, I'm not good enough for someone, I XYZ limiting, you will are you will block yourself from I don't like the word block, that sounds like scary. You will be
Right.
creating an obstacle for yourself
Mhm.
in being an energy match to match with that soulmate type of person.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That makes sense. I want to go back to the electromagnetic field in a second, but go into soul compliments because I'm interested in what that is.
Yes, so a soul compliment is, you know how people say the word twin flames?
Yes.
It's that. Twin flames is almost like a watered down example and version of a soul compliment, but it's essentially that. So your soul compliment is you in the opposite doesn't have to be gender, but the opposite energy. So if you're really feminine, then this person's like you in masculine form. Doesn't have to be opposite gender, but it would be opposite energy of like what your core energy that you desire to be in is. So for me, my boyfriend Justin is a soul compliment. This man is me in man form to a T, which what happens with this is so it's like soulmate and then a step up from that soul complement. Like you only have one of those because it's literally like you in just the opposite energy, masculine, feminine. So these are great. Have an incredible you have potential to have an incredible life and incredible growth with them. But what happens is because they're basically you, the amount of reflections that come up, meaning reflections, meaning however we're being toward ourselves, other people will mirror back to us. And the amount of wounds that come up and the amount of things that are put in your face from this kind of relationship is so much that if you don't have the right tools, this relationship will blow up and you will fucking hate the fuck out of each other and you're not being together. So if I didn't have these tools and if Justin had these tools, we would not be together, like at all. When we work on the tools and work on the reflections, the relationship is like so incredible. When there's reflections, if we weren't looking at them and knowing what they need and like healing our own wounds that are causing them in the first place, there's no way we'd be together at all.
Is your soul complement also a soulmate or they're different?
So what? It's different. It's like if a soulmate would be like if we're ranking them, like the gold medal number one winner would be soul complement, and number two would be soulmate.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Hmm.
And you wouldn't meet, so if you're with a soulmate, you wouldn't meet your soul complement in that lifetime?
Oh well, it's we have free will, so it depends. So if you are with one of your soulmates, and there is just this intuitive thing inside of you of like, this isn't right, or like this is time to end, or it's just like not a reflection, not like, oh, I'm so mad at them, I gotta leave. It's like a neutral feeling of like, oh no, I think our relationship has come to an end. If you listen to that and you move on, then you totally can open yourself up to meet the soul complement 100%. Some people also aren't necessarily ready for their soul complement because their soul complement again is insanely reflective, and if we don't have those tools, it's blowing up. Like they're you basically. They
Right.
will mirror back your deepest. Like I thought I was healed, and then I met Justin. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
I
Like
was like,
they'll trigger the shit out of you basically.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, one
Oh,
hundred
yeah.
percent. Oh yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to ask the creator field, the electromagnetic field, how is that different from your, I know you talk about aura and your higher self field and your soul fields. How are those
Yes.
different?
Oh my god, I love this question. Okay, so this is why to know what you're reading is so important. I have a story about this too, but I'll explain what they are first. So, the things that I read are source field, higher self field, thought field, creator field, soul field. I do not read guides because guides can lie to us.
Ooh,
Yeah, not in like a mischievous way. Like they're not like, "Oh, I'm gonna lie to fuck her up." It's not that. It's they can they can lie to us to indirectly get us to learning something that we need to learn, but we can learn it without that having to happen. So I don't read. We love guides, but I don't read them. They're cool, but we don't read them for information.
thank you, but no thank you.
Thank you, but no thank you. The creator field is what we believe to be true about ourselves, how the world has to be for us, and what our thoughts are on a daily basis gets programmed into our creator field. That our creator field determines what we get back in life. It determines how people are treating us, being toward us, determines the situations, circumstances, and events that we find ourselves in and around. We want to shift how people are being and what's going on for us in our life. We've got to shift our creator field. How we shift our creator field is shifting our belief systems, our thoughts, the dialogue we have going on, and our neural pathways and our subconscious mind around what we believe to be true.
Right.
We then start to then gets soaked up into the creator field and broadcasted out, and then people will start to be different toward you. If you feel like, and it's how you can start to understand what your creator field's broadcasting is if someone's pissing you off, you go, how do I feel like they're being? It's not what they're saying. What they're saying is actually how they feel about themselves. But if you're triggered by them, however you feel like they're being, the judgment you have about how they're being, you're being that way somewhere to yourself in your life. Not necessarily with what they're being that way toward you about, like you could be really confident in work and they're judging your work, but you could be judging yourself physically of how you look. And you
Right.
still make yourself a match for them to judge you. It's not what they're saying. What they're saying is their stuff. But if you're a match to them saying it to you and you're getting triggered by them, that is your own reflection. It's helping you though get what you ask for because you don't want to judge yourself. I'm making this up, but you don't want to judge yourself, right? So it helps you go, oh, I'm judging myself. Where? Oh, physically. Okay, let's get some tools to reprogram my brain so I don't do that anymore. You do that, now that person who's just judgmental, you're no longer a match for them to take it out on you. So they're gonna go take it out on someone else. We literally, you know how people say, you can't control people treat you. You can. You 100% can. And if people there's always gonna be people who are like, whatever, but you just wouldn't be triggered by them, so you wouldn't be bothered.
Right. You would feel neutral about it.
You
It's
feel
like,
me?
I don't care. Yeah.
Exactly. You'd feel neutral. So that's a creator field. Now, our higher self field is the highest frequency version of us in this lifetime, which we are our higher selves, but the higher self field is the version of us with no limitations whatsoever in the slightest. So that's what you read higher self for. And higher self tells you the future, source does not.
Okay.
Guides can lie about the future. So the only thing we ask about the future is higher self and different future timelines. Our soul field, I read for like soul contracts, soul pull, like soul path, like why your soul's back, soul masteries. We all have like 3 to 4 soul masteries, that kind of thing. And then source, I read for very just like matter of fact things. Like I'll ask source, what's the frequency of this movie I'm watching, or just like matter of fact things of like, oh, like is what they're saying on the media actually the truth? Like, oh no, it's 10% truth. Okay, what's the actual truth? And that's what I'll get from source.
That is so cool.
Thank you. So that kind of stuff. Now, why this is so, oh, and then thought field is like reading people's thoughts. It's like I can like reading exactly what they're thinking right there. Why it's important to know all of these and what you're reading is because of this story right here. So someone came to me one time for the first time ever about like 3 years ago. And they said they were crying hysterically. They go, Allie, I just went to a psychic and they said I was never going to get married. And I was like, oh my God, like, first of all, that's aggressive. Okay. And I go, okay, hold on, let me look in and see. The psychic wasn't wrong. The psychic was just reading the wrong, like, not the right thing. The psychic was reading her creator field, which was written in limiting beliefs of, I'm never going to get married. The psychic wasn't wrong, but the psychic was reading her creator field, which is not the truth. Our creator field is just what we believe to be true. It's not the ultimate higher self source truth. So I look in at her creator field first of all. I go, oh, that makes sense why I said that. Then I look in at her soul contract. In her soul contract, like contracted, like it wants to get married. Okay. First I check that. Then I check higher self. I check in with higher self. Like, hey, can she be married? Like if she's in like a certain alignment for it. Higher self's like 100%. Like there's like three different options. Totally. I'm like, okay, cool. So now I know her soul already is contracted to get married. Higher self is like, fuck yeah, obviously. Like, and a higher self gave me like a timeline if she's in her highest alignment, which was about like 3 years from that time, which is wild because she's engaged now, but I'll tell you that in a second.
Oh, yeah.
So then I go, okay. I explained to her the psychic wasn't wrong. They were just reading your creator field, but that's not your truth. Right. As of right now, you're not a match for the person that you would want to be married to because of your limiting beliefs. Let's get you some neuroscience tools, channel the ones that are going to work best for her. We reprogram her subconscious, we reprogram her neural pathways, which reprogram your belief system, which then shifts your creator field, which then opens you up to actually getting in alignment with the higher self plan and soul plan. This girl's fucking engaged now. I still talk to her as she told me. Like, so it's so important to know what you're reading because if this girl would have never like gone to someone who knew what they were reading, she'd now be even more enforced in that limiting belief of like, even a psychic told me now that I'm not going
Right.
to get married. And then it would fuck her creator field even more than it already was.
Yeah. Wow. That's so important to know. And that's helpful if anyone has gone to a psychic and got information that made them really upset, then maybe it just wasn't read right.
Yes, and these psychics and intuitives who are naturally gifted, they're so naturally gifted, but it's with anyone, it's like if you don't have the right tools to know where the information is coming from, what you're reading, how to get from A to B, you're not getting the most accurate information in reading. And because of that, most psychics who aren't training themselves and they're just naturally going off of what naturally happens are like 51% accurate. So
Yeah.
you just want to learn how to use your intuition right. I'm like such a big advocate for.
Yeah, I love it so much. I wanna ask you one more thing, I know you have to go.
Yes.
One last thing, I get asked all the time, and I'm sure you do too, because I know you're on TikTok. I get asked all the time how to manifest a specific person, and I'm very much against it. What are your thoughts on it? Should people be doing that? Can you do it?
I agree with you 100%. It's not that you can't do it. You can with an insanely specific like ingredient list of like how like emotional ingredients of what you have to feel and what you have to be saying to yourself and that kind of thing. It's like to bake a cake, you need like all the right ingredients. You need that for creating specific things, but it's not that you can't do it because like you technically could, but don't because we think we want a specific person but we're not even seeing what that actually would turn into. First of all, like we might think we want someone and then the relationship's trash or whatever. And two, the what do I want to say, the qualities that we or the things we the feelings that we think that this person's going to bring us, we don't we don't actually want the person, we want the things they're going to bring us.
Mhm.
So stop trying to manifest a specific person because that's just a little not necessary.
Yeah, and I always say forcing something is you're not trusting what's meant for you. That's what
Mhm.
that is, and if you're trying to manifest a specific person, obviously it's not happening naturally. So there's a reason for that, and just trust that even if it hurts or you wish it was a different way, maybe they're teaching you something, maybe it's a lesson, and you're gonna look back and be like, "Thank God I didn't end up with this person," and when you try to force something, you're prolonging what's actually meant for you.
Totally, totally. And yeah, and people just don't haven't been taught that like they never want the actual thing. They want they think it's going to make them feel, not how it actually will make them feel, how they think it's going to make them feel. And how you actually even manifest anything, one of the steps to it, because there's a lot of steps, but like is what feelings do you think you're going to have when you have that, and you've got to give those to yourself and feel them now to the point where you don't even want to manifest that person, and maybe that person is the person that's supposed to like come in or whatever, but then you won't care and you'll be neutral about it because if you're like I need this one person, you're suffocating everything and you're doing the opposite. You're going to have a desperate energy. They're going to be pushed away. You're getting the opposite of what you want.
That was beautifully said. Thank you so much for this. It's been a mind-blowing episode. I'm going to listen to it like 80 times.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. That went by so fast too. I felt
So
like
fast. I'm
5
like,
minutes.
oh my gosh, I could literally talk to you for 7 hours. So, but I know we don't have the time. And it's just like, I think anymore, we couldn't even get it all in. Like our brain wouldn't be able to accept all of it anyway. So you'll just have to come back one time.
Oh, I'll be back. And oh my God, well, I'll be in Orange County next week. We could even do another one in person. Like I can rent out a podcast studio there. I'm all about the in-person podcast right now. I would have a
Okay.
good time.
For everyone listening, how can people find you? How can people work with you? I'm going to put it all in the show notes, but how do people work with you?
Yes, yeah, you can find me on Instagram. It's just at Allie Ninfo, ALLIENINFO. TikTok, it's ALLIE_NINFO. My website is allieninfo.com. Yeah, you can work with me. Upcoming in May, we are doing a it's called the Get Unfucked or the Unfucked Intensive, which is 3 days. It's $159. We're diving deep into this stuff, the energetic source, spiritual laws of the universe, how to use them to hack the system, heal yourself, create what you want in life, use your intuition, the whole fucking shebang. We're doing that there. And then on day 3 of that, Unfuck Yourself Academy gets open for enrollment. And that's a 20-week program. And that's the next big thing that we'll be launching.
Wow. And go listen to her podcast. It's so
Yes.
good.
Oh, yes. We have the Unfuck Yourself podcast on Apple, Spotify.
Yes, go listen. It's one of the only podcasts that I listen to every time there's a new episode.
Thank you so much. Oh, that makes me so happy. Thank
Of
you.
course. Thank you so much for being here and come back next Tuesday to listen to a new episode of Power Talk. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Wait, before you go, look below in the show notes for a free gift just for you. And if you're looking to manifest your dream life in 2024, I have science-backed tools where all you have to do is plug in your earphones and press play to rewire your subconscious mind so that you bring in what you are wanting to manifest into your life. If you truly want something from a heart-centered place, it is meant for you to have. The only thing getting in the way is your limiting beliefs. We manifest 95% from our subconscious mind. So go ahead, rewire that subconscious mind and start bringing what you want into your life. It really is that simple. In 2024, stop making it more complicated than it needs to be, okay? Thank you so much for listening to Power Talk. I will see you back here next Tuesday morning for a new episode. Don't forget to click follow show so that you get first access.